Life is full of challenges, from the small obstacles of everyday life to the great trials that test our inner strength. We all face pain at some point, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual. But how can we weather these storms with serenity? How can we find peace and balance, even when everything around us seems to be falling apart? In this video, we will explore the journey of the sage, a voyage through the teachings of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has much to teach us about facing the pains of life with courage and wisdom. Imagine if, in the face of adversity, you could remain calm and clear-headed, responding to challenges with a tranquil mind and serene heart. This is the promise of Stoicism, a philosophy born in ancient Greece, but one that remains surprisingly relevant today. The Stoics believe that, although we cannot control everything that happens around us, we have the power to control our reactions. And it is in this inner power that true freedom lies. In this video, we will delve into inspiring stories of great historical figures who applied Stoic principles to their lives. We will meet Epictetus, a slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, overcoming unimaginable adversities with a serenity that is almost incomprehensible. We will also explore the life of Seneca, who, even amid deep losses, found a way to live with gratitude and purpose. And of course, we will draw inspiration from Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who led the Roman Empire in times of great crisis, always guided by the Stoic values of justice, courage, and moderation. These stories are not just ancient moral lessons. They are practical guides for all of us, especially in moments when life becomes difficult. Throughout this video, you will learn how to apply Stoic principles in your daily life, from dealing with minor irritations to facing great losses with dignity and inner strength. Together, we will discover how Stoicism can transform the way we see the world, and more importantly, how we react to it. If you are looking for a way to live with more balance, less stress, and more serenity, this video is for you. We will show how the teachings of the Stoic sages can be applied today, in your life, to face pains and challenges with the same tranquility and wisdom that these great figures of the past demonstrated. And before we begin this journey, I already asked you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These small gestures are essential for us to continue bringing valuable content to you. If you know someone who could benefit from these lessons, share this video with them. Together, we can create a community of people willing to face life's challenges with more serenity and wisdom. So, without further ado, let's embark on this journey. A journey that is not just about understanding Stoicism, but about living its principles every day. Get ready to discover how ancient philosophy can offer powerful answers to the pains and challenges we face in our own lives. Let's get started. Stoicism is a philosophy that, although it has its roots in ancient Greece, offers valuable and practical lessons for facing the challenges of the modern world. When we think of philosophy, we often imagine abstract concepts that are difficult to apply in our daily lives. But Stoicism is different. It invites us to look within, to reflect on our own mind and reactions, and to discover a wiser and more balanced way of living. Let's explore the fundamentals of Stoicism, understanding its basic principles and how they can help us face life's pains with serenity. Let's start with the origin of this philosophy, understanding the context in which it was developed and how its teachings have been transmitted through the centuries. Stoicism emerged in the 3rd century BC in Athens, founded by Zeno of Citium. Zeno, after surviving a shipwreck and losing all his possessions, began studying philosophy, seeking answers to the most fundamental questions of human existence. He believed that despite all the adversities we face, true peace and happiness can only be found within ourselves through virtue and reason. For the Stoics, happiness did not depend on external circumstances, but on how we react to them. This is one of the fundamental pillars of Stoic philosophy, the idea that we cannot control what happens around us, but we can control how we respond to these situations. This distinction between what is under our control and what is not is known as the dichotomy of control, one of the central concepts of Stoicism. Imagine you are driving on a rainy day and suddenly your car starts to skid on the road. You cannot control the rain, the condition of the roads, or the reaction of other drivers. But you can control how you react to the situation. You can choose to stay calm, take the necessary steps to regain control of the vehicle and continue safely, or you can give in to panic and potentially worsen the situation. Stoicism teaches us always to choose the first option. Remain calm, assess the situation rationally, and act according to our values. Another fundamental principle of Stoicism is virtue as the highest good. For the Stoics, true happiness comes from practicing virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues guide us in all areas of life, from the most trivial decisions to the most complex ones. When we act according to these virtues, we are aligned with nature and, consequently, with our own essence. This inner harmony is what gives us serenity, even amidst chaos. Stoic wisdom teaches us that life is full of challenges, and that these challenges are opportunities for growth. Every adversity we face is a chance to practice virtue, to strengthen our character, and to become better people. The Stoics believed we should embrace these opportunities rather than fear them. After all, they are what shape us and allow us to live a full and meaningful life. But Stoicism is not just about facing adversities. It is also about living in accordance with nature, understanding that we are part of a larger whole. The Stoics taught that we should accept the natural flow of life, understanding that everything that happens is part of a greater plan. This does not mean we should be passive in the face of life's events, but rather that we should act according to reason, doing the best we can with the circumstances we are given without becoming attached to the outcomes. One of the most powerful practices in Stoicism is negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. This practice involves imagining the things that could go wrong or the losses we could suffer, not to become pessimistic, but to prepare ourselves mentally for adversities. When we practice negative visualization, we become more resilient and less susceptible to being shaken when something bad happens. This practice helps us value what we have and accept the impermanence of life. Another important aspect of Stoicism is the idea that we should focus on the present. We often worry excessively about the past or become anxious about the future. But as the Stoics remind us, the only moment we truly have is now. By focusing on the present, we can act with more clarity and serenity without being overwhelmed by regrets or fears. And how can we apply these principles in our daily lives? Stoicism offers us several practical tools. One of them is daily reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect on your actions and thoughts. Ask yourself, did I act according to my values? Did I remain calm in the face of adversity? What can I do better tomorrow? This regular practice of introspection helps us stay aligned with our principles and course correct when necessary. In addition, the Stoics teach us to practice gratitude. Even in the midst of difficulties, there is always something to be grateful for. This practice of gratitude helps us maintain a positive perspective and not lose sight of what really matters. Stoicism also teaches us to be compassionate, both with others and with ourselves. Understanding that we all face our own struggles makes us more empathetic and less prone to judging others. And being compassionate with yourself means recognizing that we are not perfect, that we will make mistakes, but that we can learn and grow from them. As we move forward in this chapter, we will explore in more detail these principles and how they can be applied to specific life situations. From dealing with the loss of a loved one to facing a crisis at work, Stoicism offers us a practical guide to navigating difficulties with dignity and inner peace. Now, before we continue, I want to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This not only helps us continue bringing valuable content to you, but also allows more people to discover these timeless lessons. And if you know someone who could benefit from Stoicism, share this video with them. Together, we can build a community of people committed to living with more serenity and purpose. Returning to Stoicism, it is important to emphasize that this philosophy is not about suppressing emotions or being indifferent to what happens around us. On the contrary, it is about recognizing our emotions, understanding them, and instead of being dominated by them, choosing how we will react. True strength is not in never feeling fear, anger, or sadness, but in knowing how to deal with these emotions in a constructive way. For example, when we face an unjust situation, anger may naturally arise. However, the Stoics teach us not to act impulsively under the influence of this anger, but to reflect on the situation, identify what is under our control, and act rationally and justly. This self-control is one of the marks of the Stoic sage. Another crucial point is the acceptance of mortality. The Stoics believe that awareness of our own finiteness helps us live more fully. Knowing that our life is limited encourages us to make the most of each moment, not to waste our time on trivial worries, and to live according to our deepest values. In this context, the concept of memento mori, remember that you will die, is not a call to despair but a reminder to live with urgency, to value the present, and to do our best with the time we have. This perspective frees us from the fear of death and allows us to focus on what really matters, living a virtuous and meaningful life. The pursuit of virtue in Stoicism is a continuous journey. It is not something we achieve once and for all, but something we must practice daily. And it is this constant practice that strengthens us, prepares us to face challenges with serenity, and eventually allows us to find peace amidst adversities. In the following chapters, we will explore how these Stoic ideas can be applied in different areas of life. We will see how historical figures faced immense challenges with the help of Stoicism, and how we too can learn from their examples. Whether we are dealing with health problems, difficulties at work, personal conflicts, or any other challenge, Stoicism offers us powerful tools to maintain calm, clarity, and focus as we move forward on this journey. Remember that Stoicism is not just a philosophy to be studied, but to be lived. Each of us can, today, begin to apply these principles in our lives. And as we do so, we will start to notice a transformation, a greater ability to face difficulties, a deeper serenity, and a life more aligned with our values. Before we move on to the next chapter, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. We are just beginning this journey, and there is much more to explore and learn. Let's discover together how Stoicism can help us live a fuller, more serene, and more meaningful life. Now that we understand the fundamentals of Stoicism, let's explore inspiring stories of great figures who lived this philosophy in their own lives. These stories are not just examples of virtue, but also practical guides for us, showing how we can apply Stoic principles to our own challenges. Get ready to be inspired and learn from the sages of the past as we continue our journey to face life's pains with serenity and wisdom. Epictetus is one of the greatest examples of overcoming and resilience that philosophy has ever produced. His life and teachings are true guides for anyone seeking to face adversities with serenity and inner strength. Born around 50 AD, Epictetus began his life as a slave in a world where human rights were practically non-existent for those who, like him, had no freedom. However, contrary to what one might expect from someone in his position, Epictetus did not let external circumstances define his destiny. On the contrary, he used these very circumstances as a training ground for his mind, his philosophy, and, above all, his soul. Let's dive into the story of Epictetus, understanding how he transformed his life and how his teachings can be applied by all of us, especially in the most difficult moments. We will explore how he dealt with physical and emotional adversity and how this overcoming is a clear example of Stoicism in action. Epictetus was born in the city of Hierapolis, in what is now Turkey. Early on, he was taken to Rome, where he lived as a slave under the control of Epictetus, a secretary of Emperor Nero. The life of a slave, especially at that time, was full of humiliations, hard work, and often abuse. Epictetus was no exception. His story is marked by intense physical pain caused by a deformity in his leg, a result of constant mistreatment. This condition, which accompanied him throughout his life, could have been a reason for revolt, despair, or resignation for many. But Epictetus chose a different path. Even in the midst of slavery, Epictetus found refuge in philosophy. He began studying with the Stoic Musonius Rufus and soon realized that Stoic philosophy offered much more than just theoretical knowledge. It was a practical guide for life. For Epictetus, true freedom did not depend on his external condition, but on his ability to control his reactions and maintain his inner peace, regardless of what happened around him. One of the fundamental principles that Epictetus adopted and taught throughout his life is the clear distinction between what is within our control and what is not. He believed that the key to serenity is to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, attitudes, and actions, and accept with tranquility what is beyond our reach. This philosophy became the foundation of his resilience in the face of adversity. Once, Epictetus was subjected to one of the most cruel episodes of his life. His master, Epictetus, known for his cruelty, was twisting Epictetus's leg with force while he remained impassive. Realizing that the leg was about to break, Epictetus calmly warned, "You are going to break it." When the leg finally broke, he simply added, "I told you it would break." This cold and rational response was not a sign of indifference or insensitivity to pain, but rather a demonstration of his self-mastery and acceptance of circumstances beyond his control. This story perfectly illustrates what Epictetus believed to be true freedom, inner freedom. For him, no one could take away this freedom, not even the cruelest of masters, because it did not depend on anything external. This perspective is a powerful example of how Stoicism can be an unshakable source of strength in the face of extreme adversity. Epictetus taught that external things, such as wealth, health, and even physical freedom, are indifferent. They are neither good nor bad in themselves. What matters is how we react to them. He argued that the only truly good thing is virtue, and the only truly bad thing is a lack of it. Thus, to live a full life, we must focus on cultivating our virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, and not let ourselves be shaken by external circumstances. Epictetus also emphasized the importance of accepting fate with serenity, an idea he expressed through the concept of amor fati, love of fate. He believed that everything that happens in our lives, no matter how painful or difficult, is part of a greater plan, and that we should embrace this plan with gratitude and serenity. This acceptance of fate is not passive surrender, but rather a recognition that there are things we cannot change, and that we should focus our energies on what we can control, our reactions and attitudes. One of Epictetus's most famous teachings is that it is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things. This thought reminds us that our perception of circumstances is what really determines how we feel about them. If we change our perspective, we can transform even the most difficult situations into opportunities for growth and learning. Imagine, for example, that you are facing a chronic illness, something that undoubtedly causes pain and suffering. By applying Epictetus's teaching, instead of despairing, you could ask yourself, what is under my control here? Perhaps it is not possible to control the illness itself, but you can control how you take care of yourself, how you react emotionally to the situation, and how you choose to live your life despite the illness. This change of perspective can make the difference between living in constant suffering or finding peace and purpose even in the midst of adversity. Epictetus also teaches us the importance of constant practice. For him, philosophy was not just a set of ideas to be discussed in academic debates, but a practical path that should be followed daily. He believed that true wisdom comes from practice, from the daily application of philosophical principles in our lives. That is why he encourages students to practice Stoicism at all times, from the small irritations of everyday life to the great challenges of life. One practice that Epictetus recommended was daily meditation on death, or memento mori. He believed that by constantly remembering our mortality, we could live more fully and value the time we have. The awareness of death helps us put things in perspective, not to cling excessively to material things, and to focus on what really matters, living according to our values and cultivating virtue. Epictetus also reminds us of the importance of simplicity and humility. Even after gaining his freedom and becoming a respected teacher, he maintained a simple and austere life. He believed that the excessive luxuries and comforts could distract us from what really matters and make us slaves to our desires. For him, true wealth lay in a life lived with virtue, not in material possessions. Another important teaching from Epictetus is the notion that each of us is responsible for our own happiness. He believed that blaming others or circumstances for our problems was a way of avoiding our personal responsibility. For him, happiness comes from within, from living in harmony with our principles and accepting what we cannot change with serenity. Throughout his life, Epictetus faced numerous adversities, but never lost his faith in Stoic philosophy. He believed that regardless of external circumstances, we all have the power to find inner peace and live a virtuous life. This teaching is a powerful reminder that even in the most difficult moments, we can choose how to react and how to live. Now, I want to invite you to reflect on Epictetus' story and how his teachings can be applied to your own life. What adversities are you facing at this moment? How can you apply the dichotomy of control to focus on what is within your power? How can you change your perspective to find serenity and purpose even amid difficulties? Before we continue, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These simple gestures are essential for us to continue bringing content that can transform your life. If you know someone who is going through difficulties and could benefit from Epictetus' teachings, share this video with them. Together, we can learn to face life's pains with serenity and inner strength. Returning to Epictetus' story, it is important to remember that his journey was not easy. He spent much of his life as a slave, suffered abuses, and faced a physical disability that accompanied him until the end of his days. However, he never let these external circumstances define him. On the contrary, he used these experiences to strengthen his philosophy and to become a living example of the power of Stoicism. Epictetus teaches us that even in the worst circumstances, we can find inner freedom and peace of mind. He reminds us that life is not about what happens to us, but how we choose to react to it. And that choice is always in our hands. As we continue on our own journey, we can draw inspiration from Epictetus' life to find courage and serenity, no matter the challenges we face. We can apply his teachings to transform our lives, cultivating virtue, accepting what we cannot change, and focusing on what really matters. Now that we have explored Epictetus' story and teachings, I invite you to continue with us as we delve even deeper into Stoicism and how it can help us face life's pains with serenity. There is much more to learn and apply, and I am excited to share this with you. Before moving on to the next chapter, remember that Stoicism is a daily practice. It is not enough to understand the concepts. We must apply them at every moment of our lives. So, the next time you face adversity, remember Epictetus and ask yourself, what is within my control? How can I react to this in a way that reflects my values? This simple change of perspective can make all the difference. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share these teachings with those you think could benefit from them. Let's continue the Stoic journey together, learning to live with more serenity, purpose, and above all, virtue. Now, let's explore the life and teachings of another great Stoic sage who will show us how to face life's pains with courage and wisdom. Until then, remember, you have the power to choose how to react to adversities, and that choice can transform your life. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest philosophers, lived a life marked by great achievements, but also by profound personal tragedies. He was a man of extraordinary influence in Rome, serving as an advisor to Emperor Nero and being one of the most respected intellectuals of his time. However, behind his position of prestige and power, Seneca faced devastating losses that would challenge even the most resilient spirit. His life is a testament to how Stoicism can be a powerful source of solace and strength in the face of life's worst pains. In this chapter, we will explore the art of facing loss through Seneca's eyes, understanding how he applied Stoic principles to cope with the tragedies of his life. We will dive into his writings, where he shares with clarity and depth his wisdom on how to overcome grief, pain, and the inevitability of death. And in doing so, we will discover how we can apply these same principles to find serenity in the midst of our own losses. Seneca was born into an aristocratic family in the city of Córdoba, in present-day Spain, around 4 BC. From a young age, he showed an inclination for the study of philosophy, especially Stoicism, which at the time was already one of the main schools of thought in Rome. Over the years, Seneca distinguished himself as an orator, writer, and eventually a Roman senator. His eloquence and intelligence made him an influential figure in the imperial court, but also placed him in extremely dangerous situations. Seneca's life was marked by a series of political upheavals that led to his exile, involvement in conspiracies against tyrants, and finally, the order to commit suicide, given by Nero himself, the emperor whom he had served as a mentor. However, among all the difficulties he faced, one of Seneca's greatest trials was the loss of his only son, a tragedy that deeply shook his soul and that he described in his letters and essays. The loss of a child is an indescribable pain. It is an inversion of the natural order of things, where a father or mother is forced to bury their own offspring. Seneca, who wrote so much about the fragility of life and the acceptance of death, found himself confronted with his own philosophy in a way he had never imagined. But instead of succumbing to despair, Seneca found strength in the Stoic principles he so often preached. He used this experience to deepen his understanding of life, death, and the meaning of grief. One of Seneca's central teachings on loss is the need to accept the impermanence of all things. For him, nothing in this world is permanent. Everything is transient. We are born knowing that death is inevitable, both for ourselves and for those we love. However, in our humanity, we tend to forget this basic truth, clinging to people and things as if they were going to last forever. When death or loss occurs, the emotional impact can be devastating because we were caught by surprise as if something unexpected had happened. Seneca advises us to constantly remember the fragility of life. He invites us to live each moment with full awareness that everything we have is temporary. This recognition should not lead us to despair, but instead inspire us to value even more the time we have with our loved ones. When we realize that every encounter could be the last, we begin to treat each moment with greater care, respect, and love. Loss, then, does not become a shock, but a natural part of the life cycle that we have already anticipated and for which we have emotionally prepared. Another important point in Seneca's teachings on loss is the notion that grief is a natural and necessary emotion, but should not dominate us. He recognizes that the pain of loss is inevitable, but argues that we must deal with this pain in a rational and controlled way. For Seneca, prolonged and excessive grief is a form of resistance to nature, a refusal to accept the reality of death. He encourages us to experience grief, but also to overcome it, returning to life with renewed vigor and purpose. In one of his most famous letters, Seneca writes to console a friend who had lost a loved one. In this letter, he offers a Stoic view of grief. The death you so fear has already taken those you love, but it has also freed them from the pains, illnesses, and anxieties of life. Therefore, we must accept death as a natural part of existence and as a liberation of the soul. Here, Seneca reminds us that death is not the end but a transition, and that those we lose are no longer suffering. This offers us powerful comfort, the certainty that suffering has ended for those we love. Seneca also teaches us the importance of emotional detachment, not in the sense of becoming insensitive, but in recognizing that excessive attachment can lead to unnecessary pain and suffering. He advises us to love people deeply, but not to be slaves to that love. We must be prepared for the possibility of losing what we love, because everything in life is borrowed and can be taken from us at any time. This detachment allows us to appreciate the present without the constant fear of loss. Seneca's Stoicism also offers us a perspective on death that can completely change our view of grief. He reminds us that death is just a natural part of life, something we will all face. For him, death is not something to be feared, but accepted with dignity. Seneca believed that by accepting death, we free ourselves from the fear that so often prevents us from living fully. This acceptance of death allows us to face life with more courage and serenity. One of Seneca's most impactful passages on loss is when he reflects on the death of his own son. He writes that although the pain of loss is great, it should not be greater than the love he felt for his son while he was alive. Seneca suggests that we should focus on the happy memories and the time we had with our loved ones rather than dwelling on the pain of their absence. For him, the memories of shared moments are what really matter, and these memories should be a source of comfort, not sadness. Furthermore, Seneca teaches us the importance of finding meaning in pain. For him, suffering is not something to be avoided at all costs, but an opportunity for growth. He believed that by facing the pain of loss, we can become stronger and wiser. Grief, according to Seneca, is an opportunity to reflect on the brevity of life and to connect more deeply with our values and what really matters. Seneca also wrote about the importance of not suffering alone. He believed that by sharing our pain with others, we find support and understanding that help us overcome loss. The comfort of friends and family, according to Seneca, is one of the greatest strengths we have for facing life's difficulties. He encourages his readers to seek this comfort and to offer support to those who are suffering. One of Seneca's most powerful pieces of advice for facing loss is to maintain a broad perspective. He reminds us that in comparison to the vastness of time and the universe, our lives are brief and our sufferings are small. This perspective does not minimize our pain, but helps us put it into context. Seneca suggests that by recognizing our smallness in the face of the cosmos, we can find a peace that transcends our immediate concerns. Finally, Seneca offers us a vision of hope in the midst of loss. He believed that even after death, our loved ones continue to live in our memories and actions. For him, the way we remember and honor those we have lost is a way to keep them alive in our hearts. This spiritual continuity, according to Seneca, is a source of comfort and connection with those who have already passed. Reflecting on Seneca's teachings, we can find practical ways to apply his wisdom to our own lives. When we face loss, we can remember the impermanence of life and Seneca's advice to live each moment with awareness and gratitude. We can accept grief as a natural part of the life cycle, but we can also find ways to overcome it and move forward with renewed purpose. Now, before we continue our journey, I want to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These simple gestures are essential for us to continue bringing content that can transform your life. If you know someone who is going through a difficult time and could benefit from Seneca's teachings, share this video with them. Together, we can learn to face life's pains with serenity and inner strength. Returning to Seneca's story, it is important to remember that his life was not easy. He faced exile, betrayal, political conspiracies, and finally, the order to take his own life. However, he never let these adversities define him. Instead, he used each of these experiences to deepen his understanding of Stoicism and to live according to its principles, even in the darkest hours. Seneca teaches us that regardless of circumstances, we have the power to choose how we react. He reminds us that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control our attitudes and responses, and it is this choice that determines our inner peace and happiness. As we continue our Stoic journey, we can draw inspiration from Seneca's life to face our own losses with dignity and wisdom. We can apply his teachings to find meaning in pain, to accept the impermanence of life, and to live according to our deepest values. Now that we have explored Seneca's story and his teachings on how to face loss, I invite you to continue with us as we delve even deeper into Stoicism and how it can help us face life's pains with serenity. There is much more to learn and apply, and I am excited to share this with you. Before we move on to the next chapter, remember that Stoicism is a daily practice. It is not enough to understand the concepts. We must apply them at every moment of our lives. So, the next time you face a loss, remember Seneca and ask yourself, how can I find meaning in this pain? How can I honor the memory of those I have lost through my actions and attitudes? This simple change of perspective can transform the way you deal with grief and loss. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share these teachings with those you think could benefit from them. Let's continue the Stoic journey together, learning to live with more serenity, purpose, and above all, virtue. Now, let's explore the life and teachings of another great Stoic sage who will show us how to face life's pains with courage and wisdom. Until then, remember, you have the power to choose how to react to adversities, and that choice can transform your life. Let's imagine for a moment a world full of uncertainties and immense challenges. Crises are constant, threatening not only our inner peace, but also the stability of the entire society around us. It is in this scenario that the figure of Marcus Aurelius stands out, a Roman emperor who, despite being in command of the largest empire in the world, faced monumental adversities with a stoic serenity that became legendary. Marcus Aurelius is known as the philosopher emperor, not only because of the power he wielded, but also because of the depth of his thoughts and the way he led Rome in times of crisis with a calmness and wisdom that still inspire us today. Now, let's explore the life and teachings of Marcus Aurelius, understanding how he applied the principles of Stoicism to lead with serenity, even when it seemed that the world was falling apart around him. Let's discover how he faced challenges that could have broken the spirit of any other man, but instead served to strengthen his soul and his commitment to Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius was born in Rome in the year 121 AD, into a wealthy and influential family. From a young age, he was groomed for leadership, receiving an exceptional education that included studies in philosophy, especially Stoicism, which would profoundly shape his character and worldview. In 161 AD, Marcus Aurelius was crowned emperor, assuming control of the Roman Empire at a time of great challenges. He faced a series of wars on the borders, a devastating plague that decimated the population, and internal crises that threatened Rome's stability. However, despite all these adversities, Marcus Aurelius managed to lead with uncommon serenity, guided by the Stoic principles he so valued. One of Marcus Aurelius's most famous works is the book Meditations, a personal diary where he recorded his thoughts and reflections on life, death, virtue, and duty. Originally written in Greek, Meditations was not intended for publication, but became one of the most influential philosophical texts of all time. In it, Marcus Aurelius explores how to maintain calm and clarity of thought amid the greatest crises, offering advice that is still extremely relevant today. One of Marcus Aurelius's main teachings is the importance of focusing on the present and not being disturbed by worries about the future or regrets about the past. He believed that the only moment we truly have is now, and that we must do our best with the circumstances we are given. This attitude is especially important in times of crisis when it is easy to get lost in anxious thoughts about what might happen. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that what really matters is how we act in the present, because that is what is within our control. Another fundamental point in Marcus Aurelius's philosophy is the acceptance of external circumstances as part of the natural order of things. He saw the universe as an interconnected whole, where everything happens for a reason. This view does not mean that we should be passive in the face of difficulties, but rather that we should accept what we cannot change and act in the best possible way within the limitations imposed on us. Marcus Aurelius teaches us to find peace in accepting what we cannot control while focusing our energy on what we can influence. The world we live in today is significantly different from that inhabited by the classic Stoics. However, the fundamental issues they addressed, how to deal with suffering, uncertainty, fear, and death, remain as relevant as ever. Stoicism offers us powerful tools for facing the pressures of daily life, personal crises, and even the great global changes that affect us all. In this chapter, we will explore practical ways to apply Stoic principles in our daily lives. We will discover how we can use Stoicism to stay calm amid chaos, make decisions with clarity, and live according to our deepest values, regardless of external circumstances. And as we move forward, we will see that by incorporating these practices into our routine, we can transform our lives and face modern challenges with the same serenity and inner strength that the Stoics of the past did. One of the central pillars of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control, the idea that there are things we can control and things we cannot. This concept is simple but profoundly transformative. By applying it to our daily lives, we can significantly reduce the stress and anxiety that often consume us. Instead of worrying about what we cannot change, we can focus our energy on what is within our reach, making more conscious decisions and living more peacefully. For example, imagine that you are facing a challenge at work, perhaps a difficult project or a conflict with a colleague. Instead of letting stress consume you, which often arises from concerns about what others will think or outcomes you cannot guarantee, you can apply the dichotomy of control. Ask yourself, what is within my control in this situation? Can I control my effort, my attitude, my communication? And what is outside my control? The opinion of others, the company's decisions, my colleagues' behavior. By focusing on what you can control, you not only reduce your anxiety, but also improve your effectiveness by concentrating on the actions that can really make a difference. Another essential Stoic principle is the practice of acceptance. The Stoics teach us that resistance to reality is one of the main causes of suffering. When we fight against what is, when we wish things were different from what they are, we create an internal conflict that only increases our pain. Acceptance, on the other hand, is not passive surrender, but an active acknowledgement of reality. It is a decision to stop fighting against what cannot be changed and to focus our energies on what we can influence. In the context of modern life, acceptance can be a powerful tool for dealing with difficult situations. Imagine that you are facing a chronic illness. The resistance to this reality, the constant wish that things were different, the frustration of not being able to do what you used to do, can intensify your suffering. But acceptance, as the Stoics teach us, allows you to live in peace with this new reality, adapting to your limitations and focusing on what is still within your reach. This does not mean giving up the search for treatments or improvements, but accepting the situation fully while working to improve it. A particularly useful Stoic practice is negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. This technique involves imagining the worst scenarios that could happen, not to become pessimistic, but to mentally prepare and reduce the emotional impact if these situations actually occur. By practicing negative visualization, you strengthen your emotional resilience and become less susceptible to shock when adversities really arise. For example, if you are about to give a major presentation at work, negative visualization might involve imagining that things may not go as planned. Perhaps the equipment fails, or you forget part of what you wanted to say. By considering these possibilities in advance, you can better prepare, creating contingency plans and reducing the anxiety that often accompanies such situations. Another important practice of Stoicism that we can apply today is daily reflection. The Stoics believe that wisdom does not come only from study, but from the constant application of philosophical principles in our lives. An effective way to do this is to dedicate a few minutes at the end of each day to reflect on your actions, decisions, and thoughts. Ask yourself, today, did I act according to my values? Did I remain calm in the face of adversity? What can I learn from today's experiences? This regular practice of introspection helps align our actions with our Stoic principles, promoting personal growth and self-knowledge. Over time, this practice can become an anchor of serenity amid the chaos of daily life, helping us live more consciously and deliberately. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us the importance of simplicity and material detachment. In a world that constantly encourages us to seek more money, more status, more possessions, Stoicism offers a contrary perspective. The Stoics believe that true happiness comes from within, from the practice of virtue and living in harmony with nature, not from the accumulation of material goods. Applying this principle in modern life might involve practicing minimalism, a philosophy of life that prioritizes what is essential and eliminates excess. This does not mean you have to give up all your possessions, but rather that you should constantly question what is truly necessary for your happiness and well-being. By reducing excess, you may discover a lighter life, less stressful and more focused on what really matters. Another crucial aspect of Stoicism is compassion, both for others and for ourselves. The Stoics remind us that we are all fighting our own battles and that empathy and understanding are essential for living in harmony with others. In modern life, where the fast pace often makes us forget the importance of human connections, practicing compassion can be transformative. This can mean something as simple as truly listening to someone going through difficulties without judging or trying to solve the problem, but simply being present. Or it can mean forgiving yourself for mistakes made, understanding that we are all imperfect and that growth comes from accepting these imperfections. Finally, Stoicism teaches us the importance of living according to our deepest values, regardless of external circumstances. In a world where we are constantly pressured to compromise our principles for convenience or gain, maintaining personal integrity can be a challenge. However, the Stoics believe that true success lies not in gaining others' approval, but in living in accordance with our own values. This can manifest in modern life in many ways. Perhaps you are pressured to make a decision at work that goes against your ethical principles. Or maybe you face the temptation to take the easy path instead of doing what you know is right. In moments like these, Stoicism reminds us that true success is not in winning others' approval, but in living in accordance with our own values. As we progress through this chapter, we can see that Stoicism is not an ancient and distant philosophy, but a practical and powerful approach to facing the challenges of modern life. By applying Stoic principles in our daily routine, we can find the serenity and resilience needed to navigate the complexities of today's world, living with more purpose, clarity, and inner peace. Now, before we continue our journey, I want to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These simple gestures are essential for us to continue bringing content that can transform your life. If you know someone who is seeking ways to live with more serenity and purpose, share this video with them. Together, we can learn to face life's pains with serenity and inner strength. Returning to Stoicism, it is important to remember that this philosophy does not ask us to deny our emotions or flee from challenges. On the contrary, Stoicism invites us to face life head-on with a clear mind and a strong heart. It teaches us that while we cannot control everything that happens around us, we can always control how we react. And it is this ability to choose that gives us true freedom. As we apply Stoic principles to our modern lives, we discover that serenity and resilience are not qualities reserved for the philosophers of antiquity, but virtues that we can all cultivate, regardless of circumstances. Stoicism offers us a path to living with more purpose and inner peace, helping us navigate life's challenges with wisdom and courage. Now that we have explored how to apply Stoic principles in modern life, I invite you to continue with us as we delve even deeper into Stoicism and how it can help us face life's pains with serenity. There is much more to learn and apply, and I am excited to share this with you. Before we continue to the next chapter, remember that Stoicism is a daily practice. It is not enough to understand the concepts. We must apply them at every moment of our lives. So, the next time you face a challenge or adversity, ask yourself, how can I apply Stoic principles to this situation? How can I act according to my values and maintain serenity, regardless of what happens? This simple change of perspective can transform the way you live your life. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share these teachings with those you think could benefit from them. Let's continue the Stoic journey together, learning to live with more serenity, purpose, and above all, virtue. Now, let's explore more about how Stoicism can help us face life's pains with courage and wisdom. Remember, you have the power to choose how to react to adversities, and that choice can transform your life. We have reached the end of this journey through Stoicism, a philosophy that, despite having its roots in antiquity, offers a powerful and practical guide to facing the pains and challenges of modern life. Throughout this journey, we explored the lives and teachings of great Stoic sages such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, learning how they faced monumental adversities with serenity, inner strength, and an unwavering commitment to virtue. Now, it is time to reflect on how we can apply these principles in our own lives, beginning or deepening our own Stoic journey. As we have seen, Stoicism is not a distant or abstract philosophy. It is a daily practice, a way of living that helps us maintain calm amid chaos, find peace amid pain, and live according to our deepest values, regardless of circumstances. It is a philosophy that invites us to look within, to take responsibility for our reactions, and to cultivate a tranquil mind and a strong heart, even in the face of the greatest adversities. In the previous chapters, we saw how the dichotomy of control can transform our way of seeing the world, helping us focus on what really matters and letting go of what is outside our control. We learned from Seneca the art of facing loss, accepting the impermanence of all things, and finding meaning in pain. We saw how Marcus Aurelius led with serenity in times of crisis, showing us that true strength lies not in controlling others, but in controlling ourselves. And finally, we explored how to apply these Stoic principles in modern life, finding serenity and purpose amid the complexities of the contemporary world. Now, it is time to reflect on what all this means for you. How can you apply Stoicism in your life? What challenges are you facing right now? And how can Stoic teachings help you overcome them with more serenity and wisdom? The Stoic journey is not something that happens all at once. It is a continuous process of growth, learning, and daily practice. The first step in your own Stoic journey is self-knowledge. The Stoics believe that wisdom begins with understanding oneself, our emotions, our thoughts, and our reactions. This requires a constant practice of introspection, reflection on our actions, and honesty with ourselves. Ask yourself, what are the things that cause me the most suffering? How am I dealing with these situations? Am I acting according to my values? Or am I being dragged down by circumstances? This reflection is essential to identify where you can apply Stoic principles in your life. Perhaps you realize that you are worrying too much about things that are outside your control, such as others' opinions, what might happen in the future, or what has already happened in the past. By recognizing this, you can begin to let go of these worries and focus your energy on what really can make a difference. Your own actions, your attitudes, and your way of reacting to the world around you. Another important step in your Stoic journey is the practice of acceptance. As we have seen, resistance to reality is one of the main causes of suffering. When we fight against what is, when we wish things were different from what they are, we create an internal conflict that only increases our pain. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to live in peace with what we cannot change, concentrating our energies on what we can influence. But acceptance does not mean resignation or passivity. On the contrary, it means acting with clarity and purpose, recognizing the limitations that exist, but also making the most of the opportunities we have. This may involve making changes in your life, making difficult decisions, or simply choosing a different attitude towards a situation you cannot change. Stoicism also teaches us the importance of living according to our deepest values, even when it is not easy. In a world where we are constantly pressured to compromise our principles for convenience or gain, maintaining personal integrity can be a challenge. However, the Stoics believe that true happiness comes from living according to virtue, with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These values, according to the Stoics, are what keep us on the right path, even when we face great difficulties. This can mean making difficult decisions at work, in your personal life, or in any other area, knowing that you are acting according to your values, even if it means facing criticism or opposition. The true measure of a life well lived, according to the Stoics, is not in the results we achieve, but in the integrity with which we live. One practice that can help in this journey is negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. By imagining the worst scenarios that could happen, you prepare yourself mentally and reduce the emotional impact if these situations actually occur. This strengthens your emotional resilience and makes you less susceptible to shock when adversities really arise. But perhaps the most important thing in your Stoic journey is the practice of gratitude. The Stoics teach us to value what we have rather than focusing on what we lack. Gratitude is not just a positive emotion. It is a practice that can transform your life, helping you maintain a balanced perspective, even in times of difficulty. By practicing gratitude, you learn to appreciate life's small things, to value moments with loved ones, and to find joy in simple things. This practice can be a powerful antidote to dissatisfaction and discontentment, helping you live with more serenity and purpose. As you progress on your own Stoic journey, remember that Stoicism is not a philosophy of perfection, but of progress. It is not about never feeling anger, fear, or sadness, but about learning to deal with these emotions constructively. It is about cultivating a tranquil mind and a strong heart, living according to your values even in times of adversity, and finding inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Now, before we conclude, I want to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These simple gestures are essential for us to continue bringing content that can transform your life. If you know someone who is seeking ways to live with more serenity and purpose, share this video with them. Together, we can learn to face life's pains with serenity and inner strength. Returning to Stoicism, it is important to remember that this journey is personal and unique for each of us. There is no right or wrong path, but rather a continuous process of learning and growth. What works for you may be different from what works for someone else, and that's okay. The important thing is to keep moving forward, keep practicing, and keep applying Stoic principles in your daily life. As you continue your journey, remember that serenity and resilience are not qualities reserved for the sages of antiquity, but virtues that we can all cultivate. Stoicism offers us a path to living with more purpose and inner peace, helping us navigate life's challenges with wisdom and courage. Now that we have explored the Stoic journey and how it can help us face life's pains with serenity, I invite you to continue practicing these principles in your life. There is much more to learn and apply, and I am excited to see how Stoicism can transform your life. Before we say goodbye, remember that Stoicism is a daily practice. It is not enough to understand the concepts. We must apply them at every moment of our lives. So, the next time you face a challenge or adversity, ask yourself, how can I apply Stoic principles to this situation? How can I act according to my values and maintain serenity, regardless of what happens? This simple change of perspective can transform the way you live your life. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share these teachings with those you think could benefit from them. Let's continue this Stoic journey together, learning to live with more serenity, purpose, and above all, virtue. The Stoic journey is a lifelong journey, and I am honored to share it with you. See you in our next meetings where we will continue to explore how Stoicism can help us face life's pains and challenges with courage, wisdom, and inner peace. Until then, remember, you have the power to choose how to react to adversities, and that choice can transform your life. Now that we have reached the end of this journey through Stoicism, it is important to remember that what really matters is how you will apply these teachings in your daily life. Stoic philosophy offers us powerful tools to face adversities with serenity, to stay focused on what is within our control, and to live according to our deepest values. But Stoicism only makes sense if it is lived, if it is incorporated into every decision, every thought, and every action. During this journey, we explored how the great Stoic sages dealt with the pains and challenges of their lives, and how these same principles can be applied in modern times. But now, the next step in this journey depends on you. It depends on how you will choose to live from now on, how you will choose to react to adversities, and how you will choose to cultivate serenity and resilience in your own life. So, before we finish, I want to invite you to reflect on what you have learned here and how you can start applying these teachings right now. What is the first step you can take in your own Stoic journey? Perhaps it is to start practicing the dichotomy of control, focusing only on what is within your power. Or perhaps it is adopting the practice of daily reflection, analyzing your actions and decisions in the light of Stoic principles. Whatever step you choose, remember that Stoicism is a continuous practice. It is not about achieving perfection, but about making progress every day. And as you continue on this journey, you will find more and more serenity, clarity, and purpose in your life. Now, if this content has been helpful to you, if you felt inspired or motivated by these teachings, I ask that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. These simple gestures are essential for us to continue bringing valuable content that can help you live a fuller and more meaningful life. And if you know someone who could benefit from Stoic teachings, share this video with them. Let's build a community of people committed to living with more serenity, purpose, and virtue. Remember, the journey of the sage is a lifelong journey. It doesn't matter where you are now. What matters is to keep moving forward, keep learning, and keep applying these principles in your daily life. With Stoicism as your guide, you can face any challenge, overcome any adversity, and live a life of true inner peace. Thank you very much for following along until here. I wish you a journey full of wisdom, serenity, and purpose. And until next time,